How are you guys?
We overlap a lot. Like
Okay.
there are definitely things that Jordan's better at than I am. And there are things that I'm already pretty good at. So I had to do a lot of negotiating on my dad's behalf when just running his brand. And that's like talking to lawyers, and I didn't have a business background, and I have like blonde hair. So they're like, who's this bimbo? Like I had a super sketchy lawyer that I wanted to fire tell me I should stick to podcasting. I was like, that's because you're charging my dad an arm and a leg and I want to let you go. Right. There's a whole, maybe you're really good at what you do on the podcast and you should do that. Anyway, he doesn't work with us anymore.
I'm sure he doesn't.
but Jordan's better at like, I'm still, even though I'm dominant for a female, things still make me uncomfortable that don't make him uncomfortable. So I can be like, this is what needs to happen. And he knows it's what needs to happen, but I don't really want to have the conversation. Could you do it? And he's like, yeah, no problem. So there are a lot of like harder conversations, I think, that we're both on the same page with, that he can have. He's more disagreeable. He's better at like letting people go and negotiating. He's just more disagreeable. So he can get things cost him less than they would cost me when he does negotiation.
Jordan also seems, and you could tell me if I'm wrong here, he also seems very confident with the fact that you're on stage a lot. Like sometimes, there's like men that like feel like insecurity when the woman is like in the spotlight.
That wouldn't work.
Yeah, it seems like he's very maybe self-assured is the word, just comfortable.
Yeah, it's never been a contest.
Yeah,
that's
I think
so
it takes
annoying.
Confidence, right? Yeah, and
it's confidence,
it's
really.
But like there'll be things, and maybe I don't know your listener base, and our listeners is maybe similar to, or have heard me say this, but if Lauryn ever starts to get like to the point where she's being too masculine, to the point where she's like trying to, I'll be like, hey, put your fucking balls away.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't need that. And
if you're acting like a little bitch because you ate too much soy, I'm like, wipe the sand out of your vagina.
When I say, when I say
still on the soy milk.
We have a non-traditional dynamic, but at the same time,
we don't drink soy milk.
We're very clear that like there's a man and woman in this relationship, and we play those roles.
We're also like, we're friends. Like we've known each other since we were 12. People get mad about the banter on our podcast. Imagine knowing the person that you're with since you were 12 years old. Yep. I know how far I can push. He knows how far he can push. We have banter. It's like what works for us. We have not been dating, by the way, since we were 12. That's not what happened. But we've known each other since we were 12.
Yeah, she was chasing me since I was 12, and finally I said, all right,
He wasn't as tall as Jordan.
Fuck. When I met Lauryn, I thought she was the substitute teacher. She was fully developed, and I was a 12-year-old boy that was like 4'1". I thought she was subbing in for the teacher. I was like, okay, cool, hot new sub. And then I realized she was in my class.
Oh, that's funny. Did you guys have to figure out? So, I mean, Lauryn, you're obviously dominant for a woman compared to the average woman.
Sure.
So you'd be like screwed if you were with someone who didn't push back. Like screwed. So did you guys, was that just natural, or did you have to negotiate a little bit? And like, Michael, did you have to set up boundaries? And you're like you said, you can't act like you're going too far in that direction. Jordan does the same thing to me when he's, and I'm like, I've been working all day. Of course I'm a little masculine.
I'll let her answer and I'll give you my perspective.
Go ahead.
Well, okay, like I said earlier, I think it's uncommon. We're both very type A. I'm used to being in charge of my life and in charge of the business I run. She's used to being in charge of it. But in the same realm, I want her to thrive and be herself and do everything that makes her special, because I think that like I wouldn't change anything about her. But if it gets to the point where we're in the relationship dynamic and I need to say, pump the fucking brakes, buddy, or put your balls away. Like, I'm not scared to do that with her. And when I joke with her all the time, when we would get heated, I'd be like, good luck, any other guy. Like, because both of us, I would do terrible with a woman, and I have done terrible with women who let me just run wild over them and just kind of becomes the Michael show. Like, it's not a healthy relationship. It's not good. I need a little bit of that check. I had a mother who checked me hard, and like that's the dynamic I'm used to. But I think same for her. It's like if she was with some guy that couldn't handle this and was trying to kind of like contain her, that also wouldn't go well.
No, it wouldn't go well. I definitely, I've always been dominant since I was little. I'm an oversharer. I say what I mean, and I mean what I say. And like, I think what you get on the podcast is who I am in person. Like it is what it is. And not everyone likes me, and I'm totally fine with that. I actually don't. I like we talked about on our podcast, like bad press, fine, like whatever. I'm not for everyone. I get that.
Yeah, like I'll be in the audience and she'll say wild stuff and I'll be laughing. Like I And I think it's funny, like when she does that kind of stuff.
But listen, sometimes I could take it down a notch. I'm self-aware enough to know that sometimes it's a little much.
We had dinner one night with a preacher, like an actual like priest and his wife. And Lauryn was like cussing up a storm. And I was just like, this is
I didn't know you can't cuss in front of a preacher.
It was wild.